Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ad Age Studio 30, sponsored by Mountain. My name is Natalie Zafat, and I'm an Ad Age Studio 30 contributing editor. Today, we're going to be discussing how CTV helps solve agencies' biggest challenges. In agency life, you are only as good as your last idea, and connected TV is providing an endless loop of success that can make agencies feel like superheroes of the ad industry again. We're going to be discussing how agencies use CTV to address the biggest pain points in advertising, including things that can't be solved by going in-house. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Madeline Curto, who is the Director of Agency Channel Sales at Mountain. Welcome, Madeline. And Taylor Newfer, who is the President of Chamber Media. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Natalie.
Audience members, please let us know where you're tuning in from, and we'll give you a shout out here in the comments. I want to start out by asking this question because it seems like for a long time, brands have really relied on agencies to develop their creative and handle their campaigns. So I wonder what's driving so many of those brands now to bring their advertising in-house, and how can agencies respond? Perhaps Madeline, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah. So really, it's no secret that brands are bringing more of their marketing capabilities in-house. There was recently a Digiday survey that went out that said about 91% of brands have moved some piece of their marketing operations in-house. A couple reasons were stated why, and that's around just greater cost efficiencies, greater control of their campaigns, the ability to adapt to technology quicker, and then just overall increased transparency. So even though brands want to bring their marketing in-house, they still don't want to do every single component of it alone. So how do they bring media in-house but not run it all by themselves? That's by employing agencies with specific capabilities, such as thinking with the performance mindset, being able to quickly adapt, having more transparency within their core. And this gives brands the ability to have 24/7 access to campaign metrics, be able to control messaging, ensure they're spending their money wisely, but still have access to the experienced paid media veterans who tend to be employed at agencies.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense that they're leaning on agencies for those specific needs. And what a wild stat that 91% of agencies are actually not getting that business and brands are moving them in-house. Taylor, I wonder what your reaction to that stat is. What can agencies do to kind of slow or even reverse that trend of brands moving their campaigns in-house?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think we're as Madeline mentioned, we're continuing to see this shift towards performance marketing, right? And really getting performance for brands. As we think back to the history of advertising, for the longest time, the big appeal for big time ad agencies of all sizes was, they were kind of the keepers of the keys when it comes to creativity. They had the best copywriters, they had the best art directors, great production, extensive production experience, with this really strong creative mindset, to create really powerful ads. And I think that's still the case in a lot of ways, where agencies still have this upper hand when it comes to pure creativity, right? And being able to provide great creative output. But a couple things really have changed in the past, few years. One is technology, social has really enabled more democratization, you could say, of content creators. Everyone can be a content creator, and as technology is allowing people, brands, agencies to be more creative and autonomous when it comes to making creative that can really convert and perform really well. So technology has kind of enabled that change. And then two, the other thing that's really changed from the past is, again, like I was saying before, performance marketing is becoming more of a focus. Brands really want to see how creative drives performance for their business, and true performance that like a CFO can truly understand, more than just kind of impressions or overall exposure or brand lift, but things like revenue, profitability. And so those are the kind of the key things that have changed. And I think that the truth is agencies, they still have an upper hand on the creative side. Across the board, agencies really do have that experience and that expertise in copywriting, overall production, and getting great production value. So what do agencies need to do to kind of flip the trend? I think is your question. Is they need to kind of continue to evolve and build this performance capability, and really marrying great creative and great production with performance, really, and have this performance mindset. So a couple things that come to mind, like as I think about our agency too specifically, is kind of how we see things. Is we make great creative and great strategy. All really, the start of it is around leveraging data, insights, speed of iteration, and transparency. Leveraging those kind of capabilities as an agency will allow you to be more performance focused, and then using that information and that data and those insights to make creative that's not just beautiful and amazing and wins awards, but creative that actually gets results for clients. So those are some of my thoughts. So again, like when you combine an agency's creative strengths and expertise with data insights, leading technology like connected TV technology like MNTN, allows us to not only provide the creative excellence that I think agencies still have that upper hand with, but also the performance that really brands are needing to really drive their brands, their companies. So those are my quick thoughts.
Yeah, lots of good insights there, ranging from leaning on agencies really for their production and creative skills, thoughtfulness about content creators on the rise. And then you kept kind of using this phrase performance or results and even business outcomes. I wonder if I can kind of put you on the spot, Taylor, and ask you to share with us an example of perhaps a stunning creative that an agency like yours put together that would have led or has led to a better business outcome. I wonder if anything comes to mind as you describe that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm thinking specifically of a kind of an exercise product, and this is actually one that a company that we've been working with for a long time, and we leverage more of an omni-channel approach when it comes to distributing this content. We create this beautiful kind of what we call anchor video, anchor campaign, high production campaign. We've done multiple of them over the years, and the key to the success there is we've taken kind of this, what we said, kind of omni-channel approach, using great technology and tools for transparency like MNTN, but also search and social. And so with them, the key has been is one, first and foremost, understanding core business outcomes. Like, what are they really trying to accomplish? And then leveraging these tools like connected TV with MNTN, search, and social to drive those specific business outcomes in a way that their senior leadership, their CFO, can truly understand. And we've actually been using kind of connected TV and MNTN as a kind of an audience building part of the campaign, and then retargeting heavily within search and social, making offers and really providing great retargeting assets. And kind of the results have been phenomenal. 28% year over year growth in revenue, I think $2 million of additional revenue in October alone. So it's been fantastic for them to not only marry this great creative assets and this great creative vision, but marrying that with the right channels and the right way to get actual business outcomes has been kind of the key for them and the key for our relationship.
Yeah, those are really impressive numbers. I want to come back to you in a moment on some of the transparency, because I think there's more to kind of uncover. But perhaps we can pivot for a moment really to the connected TV piece. And Madeline, I'm looking at you through the lens here. Wondering if you can talk to us a little bit more about how channels like CTV actually do provide that value to agencies. And going back to that in-house sort of migration problem, how do we solve that using CTV?
Yeah. So just echoing one thing before it slips my mind about what
Please.
Taylor was saying, and that omni-channel approach. I think it's really important to make sure that your creative is speaking to whatever platform and goal it's tied to. Like Taylor was saying, he was following up with retargeting ads that had discounts associated with them. And CTV might have been a little bit more upper funnel and holding within brand awareness. That shows that, if you have an agency that can create high impact creative quickly, that matches where you're going to run it, by tying it with something with a performance marketing capability like a Mountain, you're able to get real-time reporting, auto optimization, granular audience targeting to make more educated decisions about all of the future campaigns that are going to impact this brand. So for those of you who don't know Mountain, we are a performance TV platform. We're able to take advantage of capabilities similar to search and social to introduce a third performance platform into a brand's media mix. We not only can introduce our platform, but tying that back to agencies and the experience that they previously have with other brands, you're really able to take your campaigns to the next level. CTV can also provide agency and brands a scalable ad channel that can be applied to any part of the funnel, an opportunity to expand any of those existing video creative assets, and then an audience first approach to targeting. And that's going to include first party and third party data. So back to your question, we're solving the migration problem by empowering agencies with a platform tied with their existing knowledge to really bring the campaigns that much further.
Yeah, makes sense to me. I wonder too if you can, I think, mention a little bit more about the agency's value in those insights and strategies you just mentioned. So how are the agencies actually using CTV to iterate and improve upon some of those metrics and ad campaign strategies? Madeline, I wonder if you can take that one first.
Yeah, I would say going back to exactly what the brand's goals are, you're able to uncover maybe the top performing audiences in the platform, apply those to other platforms that you're also running on, understanding what is hitting your goals and maybe what's not and how we can change what's not. So just constantly iterating and learning and getting those optimizations in real time will be able to empower you to make decisions across your entire media mix to bring your campaigns to the next level.
Taylor, anything to add? I see you looking.
As I'm thinking about this, appreciate that. I actually had a conversation earlier this week with the president of a company, one of our clients. It's a home tech company that has brick and mortar stores. We just finished a really large production for them. It's this beautiful production, and they really love that was primarily designed for digital, like search and social. And he comes to me and he says, like, this needs to live on TV. This needs to live on linear traditional TV. This is so great. And I bring this up because I think there's still a lot of education that needs to happen in this space of the power of connected TV specifically and how it can operate in an iterative way like search and social, right? And so there's some re-education there saying, like, absolutely, you're right. We built this asset to live, and retargeting assets to live both on social channels as well as TV, specifically digital or connected TV, because you can take advantage of those things. One, the brand, like the prestige that comes with being on TV, being on a living room TV, the prestige that comes from that. So we were able to communicate to him, it's like that value is still there, but guess what? You still get to take advantage of the value that comes from digital. And it kind of re-explaining to him, like, when we say digital, the ability to target by audience, the ability to retarget based on, website visitors, other things like that. So I'm really getting to their level and helping kind of leaders understand that the iteration that's available within like social search, that same iteration is available on television through platforms like Mountain and connected TV. So, kind of the question about like providing insights, strategy, how agencies can help brands iterate is just first and foremost the education component of helping them understand like the amount connected TV allows for that kind of iteration that's available through search and social first and foremost. And then like simple things like iterating month to month on things like audiences. Like, you can iterate on the audiences. You iterate on the creative, like what creative is working month to month, and you can iterate that. Switch creative out easily. It's not a long drawn process to do that. Launch campaigns, pause campaigns. You want to use connected TV for more of a large audience building top of funnel approach, and then pause it to get to work on the lower funnel approach. Or like there's different ways you can do that. Increase and decrease budgets at any time is capable within connected TV on platforms like Mountain.
Yeah, and just to add to that, a lot of CTV platforms offer impressions and spend, but performance TV will really provide granular data that you can share with your clients to move the needle much further. You want the proof of who are you reaching and where are you reaching them. So instead of just looking at impressions, reach, and that top of the funnel, we want to understand the full consumer journey and understand, okay, what happened after they saw your ad? Did they go to your website? Did they convert? What action did they take after? To make sure that you can define even your campaigns with specific metrics like ROAS and CPA goals, and then really just double downing on like make sure the solution that you pick is able to report on performance goals. This way you can tell that whole story just because it's available now and it really wasn't available, maybe 5-10 years ago. So that education piece needs to be amplified, that it's not just about top funnel anymore. We can tell a story so much more comprehensive about your consumer.
Absolutely. And kind of the other thing too, I'll just add, and I think I talked a little bit about this before as we think about like how agencies can position themselves to continue to win in this space is again, like leveraging data and insights to continually iterate and provide that transparency to brands. I think that is really what brands are needing in addition to fantastic creative. And that's why kind of connected TV, specifically platforms like Mountain can do, is they can allow for that kind of that A/B testing month to month. And agencies that are going to succeed in today's world, in my opinion, are agencies that can provide the creative output on a more continuous and iterative basis to allow for that, that fast-paced, fast-changing testing approach. And then as you kind of nail in the messaging and the core positioning, leveraging the data from these campaigns that Madeline was talking about, that's when you can really scale up your creative strategies and really deliver just larger production campaigns that you can put hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars behind and get massive results for clients. So those are kind of my thoughts there. Again, we need to educate clients on how connected TV can operate more like digital. It is a digital platform that like search and social.
Totally. And just to piggyback off that, like it's impossible for a brand to spend 4 to 6 months on creating an asset, running it on TV, not getting reporting back for 1 or 2 months later. That's just ineffective. It's impossible to be testing and iterating in a way that takes that long. So if the creative process isn't done quicker, and if the reporting isn't done quicker, then you're not going to be able to, get 24/7 reporting the way you are able to with someone like a Mountain partner.
I'm hearing that loud and clear, the importance of agility and iteration when it comes to real-time results. And also I'm hearing this kind of repeated phrase of transparency and education being kind of the foundation of the house when it comes to teaching your clients about why this is so important and effective. I want to talk a little bit more about sort of ad measurement. I wonder if before I go there though, and hear about the specific metrics you're looking at and some predictions, we can put you on the spot again, either of you, about if you've had a client. I wonder if there's someone who through this education process sort of learned about real-time insights and had an aha moment, sort of made a shift based on something you told them that Taylor just flew back in his seat. I wonder if there was something that came up for you, Madeline. Certainly love to hear on your side if there's an aha moment based on a client learning.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about, Madeline, do you want me to jump in first there?
Yeah, you can jump in first.
Thinking about like a clothing, so specifically a client of ours that leverages connected TV, where, first, an agencies that maybe are on the call here and brands, they know, like, we need to start with, like, what is the core goal? What are we looking to accomplish? And then what are kind of the leading metrics to reach those goals? I'm thinking of one clothing brand where, cost per acquisition, it's like, how do we decrease the cost per acquisition is really what it came down to. And so as we were kind of working with them, as we kind of built this omni-channel approach, made creative that fit really well on connected TV as well as other channels, we helped them understand through these different channels, let's find ways to decrease your cost per acquisition. And we were able to drop it from, over 50%. So it was kind of this aha moment for them of leveraging these different channels, and we're able to kind of get that cost per acquisition down and increase revenue significantly for them. It really was a game changer for them. So without going into too much detail, it was a really cool moment for them as a brand, and for us to kind of help them realize and educate them on the power of this multi-channel approach. Madeline, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, just around transparency, in the Mountain platform, you can actually see where your conversions are coming from based on audience segments and, publisher platforms that you're running on. And because, unlike linear TV, it's not like you are picking the specific publishers. So I love when we're able to see conversions from different publishers be much stronger than what the marketer was expecting. So maybe it's a clothing brand, like you were just saying, and maybe it's someone, say, like Fabletics, and they're like, we know that Bravo and HDTV are number one segment or number one publisher segments. Like, we don't want to buy all this inventory. Like, we only want these specific ones. And then it's interesting to see what actually ends up being their top performers. So I would say, like, being transparent in a sense of trying everything and letting the AI do its work to understand who really is your audience. If you've been picking and cherry picking it previously, where are your conversions coming from if you just let the AI do its magic?
I love that. And I wanted to sort of drill down a little further in some of those measurements, as I mentioned earlier, and kind of maybe even offer to our audience some predictions by both of you. So maybe the opening question is around the face of ad measurement and what you think that may look like in the next year. Madeline, maybe I'll look to you first.
Yeah, so I expect the big story next year to be around performance as it is today, but also doubling down on incrementality reporting. These types of reports will be a total game changer for the CTV space. Mountain has brought performance incrementality to CTV already, but I think this will open doors to take CTV potential much further. We're always going to be driven to these performance channels to prove out campaign effectiveness, especially as these boundaries are becoming less and less and these platforms are becoming more robust. With CTV saving money, you'll be able to increase more ad budgets and see overall better campaign performance. But, all this wasn't available, say, 10 years ago for linear TV buying. So I can't even imagine what the extent is going to come to, at the end of 2024 and beyond.
Yeah. Helpful to hear that kind of thinking about what will be kind of the focus on incrementality. I wonder, Taylor, if you can talk a little bit adjacently to that about the methods that you think are going to be the most effective for agencies looking to justify their fees and prove ROI. That's kind of the key to the castle, I think, on the agency side. Please.
And I might take this a little bit different directions. I'm kind of thinking about this now. I think continuing to identify kind of those traditional those traditional marketing metrics that are important to the kind of marketing teams and marketing brands. One thing I will share too, as I'm thinking through this and kind of recent conversations that I've had, is continuing to translate these metrics that are most important to the marketing teams and brands that you're working with, and translate that in terms of kind of CFO language, so to speak. This is maybe especially more relevant working with smaller companies, emerging brands, and mid-sized businesses. But the CFO and ownership of businesses are playing a larger and larger role in these kinds of decisions. So, I think the key is like, what is important to key stakeholders of the business, the CFO, and they're looking at measurements like we talked about ROI, justifying ROI, overall revenue, overall profit, and helping kind of stakeholders internally understand, from a marketing team, understand how to leverage and how those metrics impact key top line and bottom line metrics for businesses is key for survival for agencies in this space moving forward. Kind of the gone are the days that we talked about before of just like, these are the number of impressions, you're getting on this campaign. This is what we're doing here and there to build the brand. We need to speak the language of the CFO to help understand how these metrics are aligning with specific top of line and bottom line revenue metrics that add value to stakeholders in business.
Yep.
That's my thoughts to that.
I'm hearing that CFO getting a shout out a lot today, and really thinking about what those bottom lines are for those brands, rather than just the impressions. And I think what we historically have used as our gauges. I wonder, I think we have a couple moments left for like a round robin bonus question, and perhaps I'll ask each of you to address this and maybe give me your 30-second or so answer. But I know we kind of made the case for the importance of justifying fees. We talked about the face of ad measurement. We talked about how agencies are certainly helping with regards to, creating more transparency. I wonder if there's also a creative benefit that each of you, if you had to say, like, what is the number one benefit of hiring an agency from a creative standpoint? Certainly, we talked about the iteration of creative based on incoming data. I wonder perhaps if I could get each of you to share your number one kind of benefit if you are talking to a brand right now who's trying to decide whether or not to keep the creative in-house.
I think having a fresh creative brain and like fresh creative juice in some ways will make your creative go further, because the trick is really to test and learn. And there's so many different variables you can test, but what if a new creative director had a different spin on a different test that you haven't thought of yet or haven't tested yet? That could only make your campaigns go further. So, more testing, more learning. And I believe that, having some type of variation in creative ideas would only be more helpful.
Yeah.
Makes total sense to me. Taylor, what do you got?
No, that's a really good question. I think, as we talked about, some of the stats at the beginning of this fireside chat, in some cases it might make sense for brands to take creative internally, but brands, when they're looking for agencies, I think agencies still have the upper hand in a lot of ways. And when you're looking for an agency, I see four key things that brands should really look for in an agency to make sure it's a good fit for all the things we talked about today. One, they need to be truly growth focused. And they need to not just provide creative for creative's sake, but be a truly growth focused organization that wants to understand your growth goals. Two, we talked about this today, but leveraging like key data and insights to inform creative strategy. We not just are gone are the days of this is just a beautiful piece of artwork, or this is just really, this is a very inspirational message, but like, what is the core data and insights that are dictating what the creative should be, and build that creative strategy around core business goals and data and insights. And then number four is you need to have a kind of a media buying competent creative agency where they can speak performance and how different channels like Mountain Connected TV and others can really get performance. So kind of those are the four key things of what brands should look for when it comes to finding the right agency for them.
Okay, agencies, I hope you were writing that down. 4 tips for how to sell back to the brand. The value of having a creative agency on your side, really, really helpful. And I feel like we could keep talking, but that is our time for today. I want to thank both of you, Madeline, Taylor, for being here. And I want to thank everybody who watched. Thank you so much for attending our Ad Age Studio 30 Live, sponsored by Mountain. And I'm Natalie Zafat for Ad Age Studio 30. We will see you next time.